Hello, I'm Glenn McGuinness. Canada is experiencing record low unemployment rates. Yet, in many small towns across this country, people are struggling with a big shift in the job market.
Why can't we keep building trucks? Because you're going to increase your building in Mexico. And it's just corporate, to me, it's just greed.
There is uncertainty and tension as plants close and newer industries like automation and cannabis boom. There are changes ahead in our political lives too. 2019 is an election year. So whether you live in a town where work is hard to find or in a region struggling to find workers, elected officials and hopeful candidates are paying attention.
Doctors were rallying because people were dying because of health care. And here we are 20-some years later and nothing's changed. And I want to know why and what is Justin Trudeau going to do for that?
This week, we want to hear from you on how jobs affect your community and your vote. This is Outburst.
I think it's very, very important for Canadians to realize that any one part or region of Canada should not be left out of the development. It has to be a sustainable development, not just for today, for generations to come. Not band-aid solutions, but real sustainable jobs for men, women, and children also, so that not only the people living in these regions, but other immigrants who come here can stay here.
When I did lose my job, it's the whole struggle at first of just gathering all the information. But after all that sunk in, it was the depression that came on, and I didn't want to leave my house. I didn't want to do anything. But being back to work now, it's back on the routine, it's back in the schedule, everything is just going so well. But it was definitely depressing to be on a schedule for so long and then have that just stop for a period of time. And you get out of that routine, right? And
you lose your livelihood,
yeah,
is what happens.
Yeah.
And then if you have family, you become, what brings your family down a little bit, because then, you have nothing and you have to lean on them. And I wouldn't wish it on anybody. The people who don't have family, I don't know how they got through it. I'm thankful that I have my mother, but when you go through something like that, you lose your routine, you lose your livelihood, and you lose your sense of self, because you are now waking up every day and with nothing to do. And it's hard when you have a schedule. And so it really did affect us a lot, because it took away everything about us that meant something, and it left us with a shell of nothing, and we kind of had to just hope for the best, and that was hard.
A lot of our money is going to foreign aid, which I do support, I do believe in, but when you have people in our hospitals that are suffering, and our loved ones every day are wondering if they're going to get a hospital bed, I mean, it's very demoralizing and demotivating to see this happening each day.
Why is it okay for our children to have to leave here, for the population to continue to dwindle, for us to have second and third world health care here, when we have a country that's supposed to be the greatest in the world? I'd like him to tell me that. The reality is, in 1997, I was fortunate enough to be elected to go to Ottawa and stand up for this place that I love. And one of the reasons I did was because doctors were rallying, because people were dying because of health care. And here we are 20-some years later and nothing's changed. And I want to know why, and what is Justin Trudeau going to do for that?
Whether it's new technologies, AI, automation, whether it's new arrivals, whether it's offshoring of jobs, there's a lot of sources of anxiety.
More than 100,000 unemployed energy workers are struggling to pay their mortgages.
We support workers in time of need.
We have pipeline workers in Alberta that have been told just to hang in there.
36,500 new jobs were created in the last month in Alberta. and we will deliver more.
Instead of fighting for good jobs, this government is fighting workers.
Which undermine not just parliamentary democracy, but another form of democracy, which is collective bargaining in the workplace.
And yet the Liberals won't let parliamentarians take action to keep jobs in Oshawa and Canada.
Fear is contagious.
I'm Ann Lang in Oshawa, Ontario. Right now, GM employees are meeting here at this union hall to discuss their next steps. Some are still hopeful something can be done to save the assembly plant that GM plans to close later this year. Close to 3,000 people will lose their jobs.
I thought it was fake news.
That you have no products allocated for Oshawa after December of 2019.
And then I thought, okay, it's not fake news, it's General Motors playing their game. So they're telling us that we're not going to get product, and so then we're going to have to take concessions on our next contract. It wasn't until the next day when we actually did our wildcat strike that I'm like, oh my God, this is real. And you're running on adrenaline. You know, I'm standing outside of the plant.
General Motors has done nothing but lie to you, to my family, to my friends, to me, to my community, to Canadian citizens.
It wasn't until I got home that I just sat down and deflated. Was basically I was beat, I was deflated, and then it hit you, and I couldn't talk about it for a couple of days. It was just, I didn't want to talk about it. I was trying to sort out my thoughts in my head. I didn't even talk about it with my boyfriend, who also works there. So it was just awful. Oshawa GM has always been a statement in Oshawa, and it was I got to be a part of that.
You know, the people that's been like 16 years, you're hoping that you're going to get enough time in to, you know, finish your career at GM, not have to start somewhere over at 45 to 50. And that's I think the majority that are really scared. You know, it was just a total shock. We were working 6 days a week, and now all of a sudden, what do you mean we're closing? I have 3 teenage boys, 19, 16, and 13. My oldest son works for Robinson's, which is our industrial cleaners and maintenance at the site. So not only am I losing my job, he'll be losing his as well. So his plans were he's going to be going to college in September, and he was going to continue working part-time. So now his part-time job it's going to be gone as well. So now I'm looking at the 2 of us having to do retraining, and where do we get the funding for that? Like, you know, and as a mother, you want to provide for your child, so he has questions. My middle son is in grade 11, so he's coming behind us. So we're looking at 3 of us having to pursue post-secondary right now. And just a lot of questions, like where is the money coming from?
I started working at General Motors in May of 1985 on the assembly line. Before that I was a chemist, and I was in a toxic environment. So I chose to go to General Motors because I knew the work was better and everything about the place was more progressive. For me personally, I'm an empath. I believe, you know, I feel other people's pain, and I'm seeing it every day. I'm seeing people that are stressed to the point of considering suicide. I'm seeing people that are at work crying. Most of our third shift people work alone, so you'll be walking through the workplace and finding people that are sitting there crying. One guy found last week with a bottle of pills in front of them. 4 of them could have killed him. So it's just devastating. Actually, what concerns me is that people keep talking about Oshawa, but our members live from Scarborough out to Belleville and north as far as Norwood and Peterborough, and so all of those areas, especially small towns, will be devastated.
Here are a few of the Facebook comments we've received so far on this story. Michelle Birch writes, Albertans have been doing this for a couple of years now. We have lost 17,000 jobs in the month of December alone. David in Pickering, Ontario wrote, I had to change jobs, careers a number of times during my lifetime. It did not kill me. I went to school while working too. Not easy for sure, but it turned out great for me, and it will for you too if you put in some effort. The days of higher pay for lower skilled workers are over. And Linda Thompson, also in Ontario, commented, "It's what GM did for the community and the generosity of its workers. Where will students go for a decent summer job? Shift work is no easy task. This is a global company, and if we keep buying from overseas, nobody will ever own a house because your pay won't allow it." How can Canada create and sustain good jobs?
Investing in smaller businesses might help, so that it makes them easier to create more jobs for other people.
Treated young people better. And employment-wise, say I'm going to now, I'm in my third year. Last semester, for example, I worked 2 part-time jobs and I was going to class full-time. So I mean, it's kind of hard when there's just seems to be better opportunities if you leave.
To do that, I feel like we'd have to get rid of all the self-checkouts we have, because that would open up like room for more tills. We could do that. We could have more cashiers. We could hire for night stocking and stuff like that, because not a lot of places do it.
Well, I think the best thing to do is encourage small business and people to be able to develop small business, and then that will kind of take care of itself.
I think we have to maybe think about diversifying a little bit so we don't have so much dependence upon our natural resources, but that's easier said than done.
It's definitely rooted in the education through the opportunities they provide. I hear a lot about jobs on campus, so that's kind of good.
Create and sustain good jobs, probably with a little bit more government spending on health and education infrastructure.
It's a good question. I think to sustain better jobs is we need a better education system. We need better funding for education, because such a huge part of the job industry is having a good education. So lowering maybe tuition a little bit and making sure that everybody gets a chance with education so they can get the job they want.
I believe that it's usually mostly just supporting middle-class families, being able to have opportunities for them.
I think the best way to make sure that people have access to employment in Canada is probably to make sure that people have access to education. So providing people with affordable or preferably free tuition would be a good way to start.
I think they have a lot of good jobs. I just think that the unions need to step up to the plate a little bit more to more or less protect their people.
Providing a whole lot more for Newfoundland Labradorians. There's not enough out there for work and the workforce and anything that's pertaining to us. There's a lot of people that's coming here, and I got nothing against them, but it seems more is being done for them than it is for us in Newfoundland, and trying to make us provided with better things here in this province.
Sitting at 11.7%, Newfoundland and Labrador is the province with the highest unemployment rate. In the territories, Nunavut has the highest unemployment rate at 15.1%. The unemployment rate is defined as the percentage of people in the labor force aged 15 and up who are currently without a job. The unemployment rate will decrease when people find work, but it will also decrease when people stop looking for work and leave the labor force.
Hi, my name is Mike, and I'm the owner of the Canadian Tire store in Moncton, New Brunswick. At the upcoming job fair, newcomer job fair, again, we're hoping to pick up some candidates with, a lot of knowledge from their countries that they've worked, and we're always looking for skilled workers such as mechanics, people that can work in the shop, and we're getting all kinds of people. We're getting lawyers to, qualified mechanics to social work. Like it's a great, it's a great opportunity to pick up some good people. So I'm finding there's a lot of foreign workers coming from other countries that are very qualified, and we're getting skilled workers that are just looking to enter the marketplace, and it's working out good for us. Well, it's great because we get to sit and talk to all the different people, and they tell us their experience. And again, what I'm finding, like for instance, I hired an HR person that worked for a huge company, and she had all this experience, and it was like Christmas Day, like getting someone that's that qualified, and just wanting to learn the market, and I'm finding that they're really loyal. They come. And it's almost like if you believe in them, they will they will stay with you and treat you fairly, and so it works out really well. When we go to these job fairs, they're more likely to stay long term and be loyal to the company. I believe that there's a lot of people coming to our city, and it's growing, and it's getting more multicultural, and so it's good that we have job fairs like that, and the more people that attend for the first time, I think it's an eye opener to say, oh wow, there's a whole untapped market for employees, and so I'm definitely using it and trying to benefit from it. Moncton's a beautiful city, of course, and it's central. And, I think the city of Moncton does a good job of attracting people and educating them. And I think when they get here, I think we're great people. And it's not the hustle and bustle of Toronto. And it's easy to get around the city. And I think, when they get here, then they tell their friends. And I think more and more people want to come here. And again, it's a great place to live.
So you think the government, by using immigration, can help spur new jobs and creation of jobs?
Yeah, well, if you get more people into Canada, you get more people that will use these stores, and there's going to be a bigger demand for new stores, and you're going to develop new areas that were previously undeveloped. It's going to create, more houses, more suburban development and stuff like that. So you're going to get a lot of new jobs opening up, right?
And Cameron, do you think immigration is another way for the government to create jobs, or they should go a different route with that?
I think immigration will help families, but I do not believe immigration is going to help youth with jobs, right? Currently, Canada's system with immigration takes in high-skilled immigrants, and really, youth don't have all these qualifications needed to get those jobs.
What will be the most in-demand jobs by 2030?
Tech support. All of our stuff already shorts out now, so I just feel like they're going to have a lot more issues.
Probably more industrial-based stuff, probably, and e-commerce.
What are you thinking of when you say that?
Hopefully building more businesses and homes and stuff like that, and e-commerce meaning more online industries, making it easier to provide products worldwide.
2030 is all science and engineering, for sure, I would say. I can't be more specific than that, I don't know, but I mean, that's where the world is going. It's growing, and those are the people that are going to make it happen.
Well, whether or not it's good for us, I feel like the oil industry is probably going to be continuing to boom. I feel like engineering is always a good bet as well. Yeah, that sort of thing.
I think things regarding like engineering or technology, potentially communications, because the way that technology has been advancing, I think you need people who are very knowledgeable in that, maybe whether they're creating new things, whether they're like upkeeping this technology. I think healthcare as well. People are always either getting hurt or getting sick. And so I think being able to help out those people, or maybe to create new ways of helping out Canadians or people who are sick.
I would say a lot of healthcare stuff, senior care, things like that, particularly in this province. And after that would probably be the IT sectors.
Oh, I think it'll remain at the same, the gas and oil industry. The jobs to maintain the oil fields.
In Newfoundland? Oh God, I don't know what I would say. The most would be the lower, lesser jobs, I suppose. Because there's a lot here, but a lot of people are coming from out of town to fill those positions. But within Newfoundland, like the littler job seems to be, people are going and wanting more out of life than the more minimum wage jobs and stuff, because you can't live off it here in Newfoundland. It's very hard.
This year, Canadians will be hearing a lot more about jobs and the economy.
We're heading into a federal election campaign this fall.
Also, we have to worry about misinformation being spread, which is sowing division and confusion amongst the electorate.
And there's a new generation of Canadians who will be casting their ballots for the very first time. They'll be joining the largest voting bloc, people born after 1980.
We also got two new fairly young leaders, Andrew Scheer with the Conservative Party and Jagmeet Singh with the NDP. Also, there's a new party in the mix, Maxime Bernier's People's Party of Canada.
So we wanted to hear from new Canadians, first-time voters. what they think the political issues should be, and what their take is on the topics that are dominating the headlines.
I'm Sophall, Duch, a producer with CPAC.
And I'm Sangeeta Patel, another producer at CPAC, and this is our new segment of Outburst. We are joined here by Charlie and Cameron. Charlie, you're a journalism student at the U of O, and Cameron, you're a poli-sci student at the U of O. So, Cameron, I know that you're from Oshawa. We've been seeing headlines in the news about the GM plant shutting down. What do you make of this whole situation? Are you going to return back to Oshawa to look for work?
Well, right now, where I am just starting as a student, I believe, yeah, I might go back to Oshawa over the summer, especially if I can find some work there. But I believe Ottawa will have a lot more opportunities for me, especially working in Parliament, because that's kind of where I work right now. Work as an intern on the Hill.
Are you hearing from like any of your friends that are back in Oshawa, or people that you know, your family?
Oh yeah, when I went back to Oshawa for the Christmas break, my mom was telling me there was a lot of people were up in arms around there. You can definitely just go down the street, you can see a lot of signs about saving GM, and I know local unions have been doing a lot.
What do you think the government can do about creating more jobs for young people?
Well, I'm from a town that's, growing. I'm from Moncton, Ontario. It used to be a really small town. Now it's over 100,000 people. So there's a lot of jobs being created there. A lot of jobs for young people. So a lot of strip malls opening and all that stuff. But I think for the government, I think it's just, immigration's a big part of it. The more people you have, the more jobs that creates, the more mouths needs to feed, right? So, yeah, just opening more businesses. I think that's the key part, and a lot of small businesses, if they can finance them, that's really good.
So you think the government, by using immigration, can help spur new jobs and creation of jobs?
Yeah, well, if you get more people into Canada, you get more people that will use these stores, and there's going to be a bigger demand for new stores, and you're going to develop new areas that were previously undeveloped. It's going to create, more houses, more suburban development and stuff like that. So you're going to get a lot of new jobs opening up, right?
And Cameron, do you think immigration is another way for the government to create jobs, or they should go a different route with that?
I think immigration will help families, but I do not believe immigration is going to help youth with jobs, right? Currently, Canada's system with immigration takes in high-skilled immigrants, and really, youth don't have all these qualifications needed to get those jobs. I think the key right now for youth getting jobs and how the government can help would be more investment in small businesses, right? So actually these businesses can afford to take youth in.
I wanted to ask you about the political leaders. Let's start with Justin Trudeau. What's your impression of him?
Well, as a member of the Conservative Party, I guess, I might have a bit of an implicit bias there. But that aside, I think Justin Trudeau is actually a very charismatic leader. But I don't necessarily feel the way he and the Liberal Party is going right now. I don't think they're working in the best interest of Canadians, especially youth.
The Prime Minister is actually also the Minister of Youth. So do you think he has his finger on the pulse of what young voters want? Because you're saying he's getting attracted by Trump, the carbon tax, he's doing all these other sorts of things. Like, do you think he is doing okay? Like, he speaks to you as Minister of Youth?
Well, I think he speaks to a lot of people that are, like youth. To me personally, I don't really think so, just because I haven't seen any policies that have affected my life like positively right now as a youth. So yeah, that's how I would go at it.
Right.
Yeah, I would agree with that actually. I would say this current government, though, has made a larger attempt to reach out to youth more. I'm pretty sure you're probably familiar with the Prime Minister's Youth Council, and that's one of the ways the Prime Minister attempts to reach out to youth. But I definitely feel like there's a lot of youth who feel that the Prime Minister and the government have not really been listening to their concerns at all, and that their policies don't work in the best interest for them.
Will job prospects affect your vote in 2019?
Definitely. I mean, my future is dependent on a job, so looking at how the economy is going to change and grow is definitely important in my vote.
My dad came here in Canada hoping for like a better job, and then he got like our family to also immigrate here in Canada because of the better jobs. So I think promoting job opportunities to people would be a good platform for an elected politician.
I believe so, yeah. For me, it's like a different field, but I come from a blue-collar family, and seeing everyone else in my family do well definitely does sway my vote, for sure. Being able to have those opportunities and like having the internal or local availability of jobs for people, even if it is part-time gig work, as you know, a lot of people like calling this time, at least that's money on the table.
I work in a somewhat boutique sector of the economy. I'm a professional fundraiser, and so in terms of my sector, it's actually quite stable right now. But you know, I have people in the trades, friends in the trades, members of family that work in the oil patch, and it's definitely caused me to look at the economy as a more important determining factor in the upcoming election.
If someone was looking to like create more jobs for like the lower class or the upper middle class or anything like that, that'd be great. Or even like entry-level jobs where they'll pay for part of your training or pay for your schooling to get you where you need to be, because people are easily molded, right?
No. I'll just vote for whoever seems like the best option.
That's the funniest questions I've ever been asked. No. My vote has been set since the last election, sorry. I'm from out west. I'm conservative all the way.
Yeah, for sure, naturally.
Why?
Because we need jobs. Everyone's got to go to work.
I think so, yes. Especially being, like, I'll be graduating by then, so then I'll be looking for career-related work. And if there's a shrinking in job prospects, that affects me, that affects probably millions of people in this country. So I think, yeah, that'd be a very big deal for me.
No, I don't think so. Because I don't really see much difference between the political parties. They say there's a difference, but I don't think there really is. They all do a version of the same, and yeah, I don't think it matters. I think you just vote for the face you like to see and hope for the best.
Actually, I'm, not working myself, and it wouldn't affect me on a personal basis, but it could affect members of my family. Actually, they work within the medical industry, so I'm hoping that there's going to be no cutbacks in that area.
Absolutely. If they have more to offer, for, like I said, the more lower class people, littler people, it would definitely, I want to vote more to offer towards us than for other people. So yeah, definitely would. Depends on what they have to offer for that.
That's all for this episode of Outburst. I'm Glenn McGinnis. If you have any comments on this show or any other show, our email address is outburst@cpac.ca. We will also be continuing this conversation on Facebook and YouTube, so be sure to check us out online for updates and additional content. It's your turn to speak up, and we're listening.